the smart speed monitoring awareness radar trailer.
Back on the agenda, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was 10 minutes away. I thought I was gonna do this during my thing. Last month, I gave you all in the council meeting an overview of a smart speed trailer, a used one, from the communication shop that I use for my radios and lights and equipment and all that stuff. I made a mistake when I was asked by, I believe it was Mr. Funkhauser.
Yep. Kilgore.
Oh, Reverend Kilgore, he asked me, he asked was it that I wanted to put it in this year's budget. And I mistakenly said next year's budget, but next year's budget would be 15-16. So I would like to correct that and say I would like to attempt to put it in this year's budget, this fiscal year budget, or if we could possibly purchase it from the flood mitigation money, which would cost the town basically nothing out of their budget, since that money was supposed to have been used several years ago. The total cost of the speed trail is $5,500. I spoke with the owner of it, which is their company, and they're acceptable with their price if we decide to get it. As I stated last month, speed trailer will calculate and run a running tally of vehicles going through. No, it will not take pictures of the vehicle. The only enforcement that can be done off of it is if I'm sitting somewhere near it to see the speed.
Yeah, but you'll have data.
But I will have data. I will have, for instance, if 55 vehicles go through wherever I have it sitting at, it will tell me the average speed plus the speed of each 55 vehicles. That data I can turn into Department of Motor Vehicles or the state to help with grant funds and showing that we do have traffic coming through here. And I propose that for you all's consideration.
Any discussion, council?
So, I guess my question is, we're looking to include that in the budget we've already done for this coming year?
Or do it out of the mitigation.
I mean, I guess, you know, just from my perspective, I think flood mitigation money should be used for flood mitigation. I know we've had some discussions about using it for the comp plan update, and I didn't agree with that. I think I voted against that. I think flood mitigation money, there's lots of things in flood mitigation in this town that's been an issue for years. There's enough of that money to be spent a lot of places. The second thing is, I don't really think personally a smart speed trailer for Glasgow or this little small town on these streets is really something that we could spend $5,500 to buy. I think there's a lot of other things we could spend money on that would be more bang for the buck. Plus, it doesn't generate any revenue. Doesn't do anything except show somebody speeds. People see it, you got to tote it around back and forth. Yeah, I understand license got them, BLS got them, I just don't see it with this little small town. I think if we really want to stop speeders, we need to have a little more presence on the road, write a few tickets, and people will get the message without having a speed trap. And that's just my opinion. I have issues with the flood mitigation money and how we're using it.
I don't know, but maybe I'm missing something. I see Aaron out about and parking at different places and monitoring traffic all the time, but he can't be in the same spot. And traffic gets wise to the various places that a policeman can park his car, and even his unmarked car is pretty much well recognized by now. So it's very difficult for one man to set up a speed trap, you know, or, you know, because coming down the street, you can see down the street who's parked on either side of the road. That's the way I see it. But I see what Roger's saying is that our main problem with traffic in this town are just local people and truckers that go through and don't know what our speed limits are or don't care, you know. And it's really you could boil it down to if you had citizens that were vigilant enough to help the town sergeant with his job, maybe we wouldn't need this trailer. You know, but this town has this apathy thing, and I don't really, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where does it all come from?
A lot of the money been laying in
for the flood mitigation fund.
And it's how long?
Since they did the house mitigation.
How many years ago? It's been that still in, hadn't you finished going on?
95.
Just because everybody really knew a lot about it and what they were doing up until the last couple of years, and I got digging around with Ryan, and that's where we figured out that was a lot of money was sitting there.
So the money was there, they just didn't know that.
Council, nobody knew what was going on. It was there, it was just, I didn't know that. But it was supposed to be for flood mitigation.
I'd rather see it used for something, I wanna sit there another 10 years, but I don't know. It's something we need to.
I mean, we got flood mitigation stuff that we could use that money for a lot of things that relate to flood mitigation with that original plan before. That's why I have a problem with spending it for other things.
I'd like to table this for a while, let me look at it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I don't know what the money is at the end of the night.
I was supposed to talk about the water fountains, I
Yep.
see that was something.
Question.
Okay, yes.
We're looking, do we need to actually make a motion to table it to a future meeting, or?
You should,
Do I hear a motion to table to a future meeting for the?
since it was on the agenda, you should
Make a
table
motion to table?
Take, yeah.
Table it or no action.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
To table it.
To table it to a future.
I'll try to keep reading it for next week.
There's copies of the water fountains in your package too, correct? No?
That was in the
That
last
was
one.
the last
Oh,
month.
okay.
But you had it on for the, you got some quotes.
Do you guys want to?
Was that not on the agenda, right?
No, it's not on the agenda, but I had it in the agenda notes.
Oh, it's the what we'd
If
like
you
to.
want to.
I guess my question to that is, last month you had said you didn't know the status of the current one
Yeah.
that's there.
Chris
Do you have any
says-
more information on that?
Not much more, Roger. He's looked at it, and he needs to order parts, and I'm not sure if he can find the parts. So I'll give you a further update when he's back from
And I guess we need to really figure if there's something minor on that one, it can be fixed, some pieces of parts before you actually go out and spend another $1,000 on another one. You know, if it's broke, then yeah, it's probably, you know, a good idea, and I don't know what, you know, Parks and Rec's recommendation are as to which one, and I think that probably should kind of go to them to look at and evaluate and bring back a recommendation.
Okay.
If we have to replace it, but I think we really need to find out what's wrong with the one that's there first. That's-
I don't have an
I
answer.
mean, if we don't know what's wrong with that one, we probably need to know that before we actually just say we want to replace it.
He has studied it, he said he's gonna order some parts, and then he was researching the parts, and he couldn't find what he needed. But they're still available, so.
I mean, it's not anciently old, so I would think the company probably is still out there. And if it was 25 or 30 years old, I'd say, yeah, probably. It's not that old.
Well, don't those things come with parts manuals and users manuals?
Yeah, they probably do, but
Somewhere.
It's on the agenda notes.
Mine do.
Since that's not part of the agenda, I would assume maybe
Yeah, it's,
that you and,
we'll take
you
the
and
Parks
Chris
and
need
Rec
to make
first.
sure, yeah, and Robert.
Well,
Parks and
it'll
Rec
be
part of
at the
that.
next Parks and Rec meeting. We'll have one in June, and we'll.
At our
bring it up
June meeting, June town council meeting, you can come with a recommendation.
From Parks and Rec. We'll come with a recommendation from Parks and Rec for the water fountain.
Okay, spring step.
Yes, ma'am. In your packages, you can study it further. This is a company that does personnel manuals and job descriptions. They're under contract with the league. They're also under contract with the County Commissioner Association. You can study this proposal. They explain in here how they're going to conduct the job description. And they also explain in their proposal their methodology for doing an update on the personnel manual. This is what they do for a living. I've used them twice before in my previous life.
I mean, I read through it, it's pretty extensive in what they do. Seem to be, actually work for a lot of cities and towns. I guess my only thing with it is I think for what they want, which is $5,000 or $5,500 to do this complete. And if I'm reading this correctly, the complete study of all your personnel manuals, matching everything to BRS, to state, to federal codes, updating all your policies, job descriptions, pay scales, basically all the things within their scope of work here that we actually don't have today.
Correct.
And probably something we probably should have been having for the last 10 years. So I think, you know, in the money, yeah, that's money, but I think my personal thing, that's money kind of well spent, because those things really govern a lot of what you do, where you go, how you handle employees. You know, it's a lot of day-to-day stuff that's included in what their scope of work is, if they're gonna do the complete job, which is kind of what this entails, the way I read it.
I agree with Roger on that. You know, that's one of the problems we have this town, is our charter and code is so outdated. Causes a lot of problems and misunderstandings.
They would bill us in installments, council, so we don't have to budget $5,000. We can give them a time frame. We can budget what we want to pay, let them work up to that point. Just.
Another thing I'd like to bring up is,
You can do, I mean, we can spend the remainder of this fiscal year out of CIP money. We can, you know, say go up to $1,500, start the work. Or you can take it out of the flood mitigation money.
I mean, I think, you know, if we spend part or half and it's built into 2 calendar years, you know, we could probably trim some stuff in that other budget, a couple $1,000s here and there to pay for this, which is, I think, beneficial for everybody across the board.
We can spend, I can
You know,
tell
I
them
can
that
find you
this.
$2,500 in that budget we got right now and cut out and use it for this.
Right, I think we can tell them that this fiscal year, we're only gonna spend $2,000 or however we want to go, and then the remainder of next fiscal year. I'd just like to get them on board to start the work.
can I make a suggestion?
Say what, Roger? I'm sorry, Mike.
I think we need to go ahead and do
I mean,
that.
it's whatever the rest of the council, I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's something that's really needed, it has been
We
needed
definitely
here.
need.
Their original proposal was 8,000.
And, you know, again, they have to look at
They're very good.
tailing it down, and this isn't Faulkner County or, you know, South Boston, this is Glasgow. So what they do is a little bit different.
All right, I need a motion to go ahead and sign
Can I just interject one thing?
agreement to do this.
Do I hear a motion to move forward with the Springstead,
I'll make a motion that we
handbook?
enter in with Springstead Incorporated to do a comprehensive position classification plan and updated personnel handbook.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is anyone opposed?
Thank you very much.
Okay, committee, commission reports. Mrs. Lyle?
I stand right here.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
you may.
We did have Parks and Rec meeting last night, and instead of the May Day, all day, we're going to have a car show on May 31st, starting at 4 p.m., and then music in the park afterwards from 6 until 9. I think the band is Wildfire.
Wild card.
Card. I do.
Wow, forward.
Card. CRD.
Okay.
CRD, okay.
Schaefer.
Okay. We had a donor, someone who wants to put a volleyball net up out near the horseshoe pits. This will be given to the town. Also, at another date later on, a tennis court is proposed to be built near the volleyball net. But we will have to have council's permission in order for the donor to proceed with giving those things to the town.
And what part of town is this?
Out there, down on the park, from the
Horseshoe-
park where the
horseshoe
horseshoe,
pit.
where the horseshoe pits is.
Okay, yeah.
So is this something from a private donor?
Yes,
Private
private
Sonny
donor.
was there.
Yeah, private donor's gonna pay $250 for the
For the
net
nets.
and the, for that.
In the tennis court?
Well, the tennis court where there's
It's
some
come
money,
to come later.
yeah, later on, but a
Mhm.
donation, I forgot if they,
$1,500 from some
Yeah.
relative or something that they're
Is that
donating.
just part of the cost of what it was?
Yeah, that's just
It's like tennis court's not cheap.
And neither are volleyball courts, actually, when you consider that most volleyball courts are they do it on sand, outdoor volleyball courts.
I think this was just a net post.
This is just a
The
net.
net.
So
And the
the,
post.
so the people participating would be on the grass, the side.
Portable post,
Yeah, I think on the,
portable post.
since Parks and Rec's working on that, I would think on, the volleyball court, I think we could mark off the area that needs to be in.
Yeah, I think that.
Put that up and make that work. I think if it's tennis courts, some work.
The tennis court was not, the tennis court was not gonna be done now,
Right,
right
but I'm
now.
saying on the tennis court, as far as it needs to be looked at,
Oh, yeah.
entertaining doing it, but finding out a cost and a proposal and
Okay.
how much
More look.
Parks needs to know all that. Yeah, the private donor, but it might only be a tenth of what it costs.
Mhm.
But I'm not saying long-term maybe, but we need to kind of explore into where that goes. I'm not even turning down any donors' money, but,
I know.
we need the whole package together.
Upkeep of a tennis court too.
I believe Roberta is asking for approval of the volleyball net now.
Yes,
Yeah.
right now, and then we can talk about the other.
And then bring the tennis court up at a later date.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm okay with
Problem with
volleyball,
No.
court net or whatever, as long as, you're okay with this location it's going in and where it's to be. Any
Okay.
question on that, or?
How about town liability? If you're putting that there, if somebody gets hurt on it, what is the town's liability?
Covered under general
It's
liability.
like the rest
Well,
of
we
the
have
park.
horseshoe pits already there, so it's covered.
Okay, because,
It's already covered.
Do you need a motion?
Being in the flood zone make
No.
a
Yes.
make a difference?
Not on that.
It's not a,
No.
Flood, being in the flood zone?
No,
Yes,
It'll be where it
The-
can be moved.
it's
for-
over the.
I make a
portable.
motion, we can go ahead and, Parks and Rec can go ahead and pursue with putting up a volleyball net for a proposed volleyball area down next to the horseshoe pitch.
Second,
second.
all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mrs. Lyle.
Community watch. No?
I'll cover that in this.
Okay.
Police activity report.
Good evening again. I'll start with the community watch. The National Night Out, we're still going ahead with that, which will be the second Tuesday in August. We had a community watch meeting, a few weeks ago, and me and Mr. Kendall don't agree on a lot of things, and we've agreed to disagree. However, he made a statement about 2 years ago, and I find it true. Apathy in this town is almost ridiculous. Community Watch has decided to not disband, but to put everything on hold until October and try again. For the last several meetings, there's only been 3 to 4 members, well, 3 to 4 people showing up, me being one of them, and I'm just the advisor. We're, however, still gonna go ahead with the National Night Out, but as far as active meetings, we're not going to hold any active meetings till October. On April 26, 2014, assisted by Rockbridge County Sheriff Office, Virginia State Police, Glasgow Community Watch, and the DEA, along with the Glasgow Police Department, participated in the National Medication Take Back. We collected over 50 pounds of used and old medication. That was a lot. That was a ton of used medications. I was surprised at how many people showed up for that. We're gonna try and do this every 3 months with the DEA whenever they do it. A lot of people were thankful that we did it on this side of the county because riding to Lexington to turn in old medication was a hindrance to them. A lot of elder people in the town showed up and was glad for it because they were able to clean out their medical cabinets. My hours worked for the month were 193.50. Mileage was 2,070. Fuel was 106.5. Calls, there were 18 calls that I answered this month, plus 6 call-outs after hours when I was off. 14 traffic stops with 15 summonses, 4 warnings. I attended 6 meetings, assisted the sheriff's office once, 1 arrest during the month. I had 2 court appearances, 1 investigation was started, 2 warrants were issued off of that investigation, 1 event, that was the National Drug Take Back. I had 1 teaching event that I had to attend, 1 admin day, and 7 training days during the month. The training that I attended last month, generally, One of them was an investigative school, that's as far as I can go in detail with that one. The other was basically my yearly qualification that I have, my 40 hours that I have to go through. We discussed the speed trailer, so I don't have to go over that anymore. My vehicle. I understand and I agree with what was decided about my vehicle as far as next year. However, just so you all know, it is in the shop. I had to carry it to a Ford dealership. They cut off on me 6 times on the interstate during heavy traffic. So I was instructed to carry it to the shop and leave it till they fix it, and that's what I did. It's now in Lexington at the Ford dealership, and I talked to the gentleman that's working on it today. They actually had to order a part, and he told me what it was, and I have no blinking idea what it is. It's something to do with the fuel system. And he will get back to me, he said by the end of the week, if the part comes in. Other than that, Community Watch, like I said, we want to go ahead with the National Night Out. It will be held here in the town of Glasgow. The sheriff is on board. All of the local police departments are on board with it. I'm just waiting on the fire and EMS side to also say they're on board. And then I'm gonna come before council and let you know what's gonna be the layout and how it's going to be that particular evening.
What's the date on that?
It's the second Tuesday, and I have no idea what it is. Second Tuesday in August, I'm sorry. It's from 6 to 10 p.m. Historically, every community has, engaged in the National Night Out.
Second Tuesday of August?
Yes, sir.
When we have town council?
12.
Okay. Yeah, that might be the night.
It's the first Tuesday.
First Tuesday. First Tuesday.
First Tuesday.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. First Tuesday. Thank you, Ms. Lau.
Okay, so that'll be the 5th.
Okay, yeah, the first Tuesday. Thank you, Ms. Lau.
Yeah, I had it.
Oh, great, yeah, that would have been a mess. However, I don't know what the theme is gonna be this year. Last year was law enforcement EMS theme. This year, we're gonna try something completely different. I'll let council know next meeting, or as we get closer to it, once everything is set in stone. We do have several donations coming to us for it, from local banks and Walmart. Yeah, Walmart. I just heard about those today.
Did you not make us a copy of your report?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't have it.
I have it right here. I emailed it to Ms. Jane, and I guess during the ruckus, I apologize that you all didn't get it. If I would know that, I would have given it to you.
Which we did
You tell, I apologize, I really did. And I have several for public if they wish it. Excuse me. You want Mr. President? Other than that, if there are any questions? Thank you.
How about the noise ordinance?
Okay, last month, I advised you I had to have a meeting with the Commonwealth Attorney. We spoke on it briefly, not a sit down talk, but we spoke on it briefly in circuit court the other day. And he is still up in the air about whether we should change it and would it do any good to change it. Lexington, he looked at Lexington's and he looked at Buena Vista's noise ordinance, and basically theirs mirror the ordinance that we have now, and theirs is completely unenforceable, and he doesn't know how to make it enforceable, because the sound equipment that we need costs $6,000 to enforce it under the ordinance that we have standing now. And no department has that kind of funds laying around to even do that. The county's ordinance is completely different from ours. It does have a stipulation, just like ours, after a certain time at night, is to be considered a quiet time. However, the other week, while I was in court, there came a case of an officer did write a noise, and the judge just looked at it and dismissed it until person over leave. So I don't think, it's up to council if you all want to pursue the changing of it. However, I don't think the waste of time would do any good.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, when we drafted the one we have currently now, we went all after election. And basically, it's kind of a guide you can go and hope people listen and apply with what it is, but there's really not a force.
And every community has the same.
And we can fiddle with it and try to rewrite it, it still will be the same in the end.
Yeah, you know, and you don't want to spend $6,000 when it doesn't mean. You know, I think if somebody's making a lot of noise late at night, obviously disturbing the neighborhood, you know.
Now, on the flip side of that, I have charged disturbing the peace because of the noise. And I have got the conviction on that. It was thin, but I have got the conviction. So that's what I'm going to keep trying to do until the judge tells me stops. And he will tell me stop when he gets tired of seeing it. Forward. But that's,
if somebody, after their range of what our code says now, they're doing something at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're just totally out of it, they probably ought to get charged and go to court, let the judge figure it what.
Well, that's right.
That's my opinion.
And I think probably
At
just
6 o'clock in the afternoon.
just having Aaron's presence there is going to make.
Okay, so how about a dog that doesn't show
That's
up?
the best way to do it.
I will give you what the judge told me in court. He said, his words were, because we were having issues with Miss Harris and the dogs. His words were, a dog is going to bark and a cat is going to meow. How are you going to stop it?
I don't know.
So the only thing he told me to do with animals barking, because me and the county attorney actually talked about this also, keep going back, keep documenting it, and at some point, that's going to become a nuisance. Then we can get them on the nuisance.
That's a lot at 2 o'clock.
I know, but that's what you pay me to do, unfortunately. So I'm starting to document the animal barking complaints, and when I get enough, I'm gonna carry it to Mr. Joyce, and then he's gonna give me the okay whether or not I have enough to charge him with a nuisance ordinance.
Well, in just that particular case, since you brought it up, I was over there and I observed the situation myself, and I personally wouldn't keep an animal the way that man's keeping them animals.
And see, the dog animals you get into, we've been down that road, once you do one, and even what he's saying, if you're not consistent, somebody else is gonna come back and say, look, you didn't do it to Joe down here, his dogs bark every night too, how come there again, the judge, it's gonna be really hard to do.
This conversation's going on in every community in the state.
Because don't pick on me when next guy down here's got his dog, you didn't do anything for him.
It's a no-win situation.
Yes, basically, Mr. Attorney, you're right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Old business. Accept the resignation of Councilor Ron Hill.
That's pretty quick cut, I guess. I'll make a motion to accept it.
What you might want to do with that, he submitted that letter at the last meeting. And that, I believe that was on the 15th of April. I've gone ahead and gotten a petition to court for an election, and the circuit court judge has issued the writ of election, okay? And, and we use that April 15th date as his resignation date. So what I would do is just accept the resignation effective as of the date that he submitted, which is April 15th.
Which is what the letter's dated, so you're saying accept it as of the date of the letter?
Yeah, and we're good, we're timely.
Did we get a second?
Oh, second.
Did you second
Yeah,
that?
I think one
All in favor?
second.
Anyone opposed? Special election.
Just to follow up on what I just said, I think you've got the writ issued by the circuit court judge of the special election to fill that seat in November of this year at the general election. You do have the option within 45 days, council has the right to appoint someone to fill that seat for the remainder of this term up until November. You don't have to do it. The circuit court judges, and that's the judges plural, can make an appointment. It says they may make an appointment, although neither of you are required to do that. You can leave that seat vacant. You've got, 5 meetings until November. Those are your options. The 45 days would run, the 30th of this month. So, if you want to make that appointment, you can do so. If not, you can let it go.
And just, I understand, we've been back and forth with this, and how we're trying to figure out how it works. Just to clarify the writ of special election, there will be a special election held in November
To
Same
fill
day
that
as-
seat.
Same day as election.
Yes.
Complete separate screen. People have to sign up for that one versus the other one. It'll be completely separate, just like 2 elections on the same day for that 1-year term.
That's right.
Are we clear on that?
As I believe, John's term expires in November of 16, is that correct?
Right.
December
But
16th.
that person that's gonna sign up for that special election will get a 1-year term to finish his seat.
That's right. That's right.
And the
So you have a
sign up,
2-year term.
right, and the sign-up deadline for that is different from, this one's June the 8th for the regular general election. I think Marilyn told me it's August something for the special election. Don't know the exact date.
I haven't heard from the registrar's office
I
yet.
think it's August something. It's a different time frame.
That would be December 2015, not 2016.
The end of the term?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, you're exactly right, yeah.
So just to clarify, that's gonna be an open seat for the general public to pick up on.
That's right.
But somebody has to specifically sign up just for that seat for that 1-year term.
That's right.
They can't sign for both.
Or you can
what's
appoint
that?
somebody.
They can't sign it for both.
No, she told me you can't do both.
Right.
Or you can appoint somebody.
Or we have the
Or,
option.
but yeah, we're just talking about the
Within
special
45
election
days,
part.
just as I just
Which
said.
basically is this month.
You got till the 30th.
That's this month.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Basically.
And the only, now that we're real clear on, you have to have the special election, you can't appoint somebody like we've done in the past to fill that seat. My thing is, if you're gonna really do it right, you need to advertise it to the public, you need to take input, get, Jimmy Bunavista's done it, get applications back. You know, time frame, you're gonna be June, possibly at the earliest, and you only got 2 or 3 months, and time somebody gets in, gets on board, it's time for the election.
Yeah,
You know, I
and the
just
fact of
don't-
the matter is, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it, you know?
I mean, I understand y'all 6 people sitting at this table is ultimately what you really want,
Yeah.
but I'm just not sure.
Without question.
You know, if it was for the whole 18 months, I can say it's a no-brainer, but,
Yeah.
you know, that's out of our hands now because of the changes.
You're
in the
kind of
rules.
it's a short time at this point. But you have that option.
So do we need a direction on, or if we don't want to, we just,
I don't think you have to do anything, you can let that time frame slide if you want to. You can take an affirmative vote to agree to let that happen if you want to, or an affirmative vote to not appoint anybody at this time, or, you know, you can just wait. After 45 days, by operation of statute, you cannot appoint someone.
I'm just glad that we finally got some clarity on exactly how this thing's supposed to work now.
It's
It's like nobody seemed to really know.
well, everybody's been doing it different. The General Assembly struggled with it again this past session, and they're trying to change it back to the way it used to be to allow council to fill that position anytime they want. So, and that's probably where it's gonna end up, but it's not the case right now.
You can do it, they should.
It's okay, somebody out there with big money will go up and buy them off and they'll change their mind again 2 years down the road.
Just leave it?
Yeah, moving on.
Okay. New business. Number A, resolution for an employer contribution rate of 3.41% to DRS, and certified by the DRS Board of Trustees.
Yes, ma'am. You can, if you'd like to do separate, there's one resolution for the employer contribution, and there's a second, item B is a resolution for the employee contribution. And there are 2 separate resolutions which the mayor will sign. They're the same as they were last year, except for the employer contribution is different.
What's different with the employer?
I think last year it was 2.78, something like that. You know, I don't know if we budget in 3.4 this year.
So where did that 3.4% come from?
That comes from the VRS Board of Trustees.
But how do they come up with 3.41%?
If you see, is there a letter attached to it, Roger?
3% of the IRS.
Well, I mean, that's a letter from them, I mean, that's just,
That's what they send.
but the employee only contributes 3%.
Correct.
This year.
Right, it's, yeah, it's from, the graduated over a 5-year period from 1% to 5% total.
Except for Aaron and I contribute 5% now.
It says in the very first part.
So somewhere that, I guess, that.
It's right up the, it's right up the top. In the first paragraph.
Okay, they use a calculated figure is how they come up with that all amount. 80% of some kind of actuarial validation of assets and liabilities.
If you can understand
If you can
that.
understand our job.
It just means it's not a 3% straight up.
I don't think they arbitrarily came up with 3.41%.
Open this chair.
But I need a motion to that resolution for the employer contribution, and then a next motion for the employee contribution.
I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I don't think that we got a lot of options.
We
We decided to do this starts every
Yes.
5-year period 2 years ago, so.
So if you do a motion
We
for
locked in it.
the employer contribution first,
I'll make a motion to employer contribution rate of 3.41% of the
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, how about a motion for the employee?
I'll also make a motion for employee contribution rate of 3% to the
Second, that is later.
Your second?
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
thank you very much.
Discussion to change town code, chapter 12, section 12-34. Wine and beer sale hours. Is this something that should go to the ordinance committee?
Rob, however council likes to handle this. Do you need a copy of it?
I have one.
Okay.
Well, where this came from, just, I guess, for information to people that don't know. Our code on section 1234, wine and beer sales, was an exact model of Rockbridge County's beer and wine sales. City of Lexington changed theirs about 2 years ago. City of Buena Vista's changed theirs. The county several months ago decided to change theirs to model the cities and went through the process, rewrote the ordinance, advertised it, and actually adopted it. So now you can buy beer anywhere in Rockbridge County at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, except for the town of Glasgow. We had enough issues with it on every week basis or every Sunday basis when it was 12 o'clock, and people didn't understand, because you can buy it everywhere but Rockbridge County to 12 o'clock at 7 in the morning. Now Rockbridge County's changed it, so Glasgow, the 2-3 places here are the only place in the whole, I guess, 5 county wide that you can't buy beer on Sunday morning. So, you know, I guess I have some personal interest in it, but, you know, I think it's something we probably need to change just for, you know, being consistent with Rockbridge County, not having to deal with the issue. You know, because I've heard it every Sunday since they changed it in Rockbridge County 2 weeks ago, and people just don't understand why the towns are different. I think we need to be, because I think it puts the businesses here at a disadvantage to everybody else around you.
Well, let's put it this way. If somebody's going to get something to drink, it ain't going to matter to them if they go up the Natural Bridge to get it, you know, or around the corner to get it. They're going to go get it. And then they'll be driving on the road drunk. So I'd rather have them close to home.
So I guess, you know, we probably kind of should model it by the wording change. I haven't read the counties, but something, and then we'd need to bring that back and advertise it for a public hearing at the June meeting, and I guess we could adopt it after the public hearing.
If you want, there's 2 ways we can do it. We can, probably the best way to do it is to go ahead and we'll get a draft ordinance together for June, bring it to council. Council, you can look at it, tweak it if you want, do whatever you want with it, but model it after the county ordinance. Council says, let's go with it. We can then we can advertise it and adopt it in July.
Is that the shortest time frame we can operate with?
I don't want to miss the summer season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying for my.
You know, I mean, here's what, I think what you can do is this. You can say, we can go ahead and advertise, we can change our hours to reflect the county's time on Sunday sales. As I understand it, they went from 6, they had a prohibition from 6 a.m. until noon on Sunday.
Which is what ours was.
And
Or from 12 midnight to 12 on Sunday, which you can't buy anywhere in Roberts County after 12 midnight
yeah,
to 6 in the morning.
well, they lifted that 6 a.m. until 12 on Sunday morning, all right? And now you can buy it in Rockbridge County from 6 a.m. until 12 p.m. If you want to move this thing, you know, fastest, you can go ahead, we can just change those hours on our ordinance, on our sale ordinance, and lift that prohibition from 6 a.m. till 12 p.m. on Sunday mornings, advertise it, we get a copy together and just changing those hours, and then advertise it for the June meeting, and you can vote on it after a public hearing in June.
Oh. So rewriting and changing the hours, it still has to be advertised, still has to be brought.
No, I think you got, I think you better.
Yeah, it still goes to a public hearing, just like if we change the ordinance.
Yeah, it's
We're
gotta be-
changing the ordinance, we're changing the,
Code.
yeah.
I guess all I'm saying is that changing hours, if we look at the wording in this and there's something that's been there for 35 years, maybe we need to change that while we're changing it to make it. We already got to do the hours.
It's hard to have speed and, you know, I mean, we can do one or the other, but sometimes it's tough to do both, you know, and, I mean, it's gonna make it, you know.
Is there a way, Mr. Simons?
I mean, we're still talking about our ordinance about the old 3.2.
Hey, Roger, you better,
That's what I'm saying.
You know, I mean, it needs some work.
And I'm selling 8.0.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jerry.
I was just going to ask, it says in this article that the county attorney was about to draft the ordinance to repeal Sunday morning prohibition. Is there any way that we can get a hold of that, or that you can get a hold
Oh,
of that? So we
absolutely,
could,
absolutely. I mean,
if
I
they
can
wanted
have that at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. But I think we still have to,
yeah,
we still have
but
to.
to have that so that when it is announced for a public hearing, we're not having to sit around thinking about, okay, how we want to say this. We've gotten something.
Yeah, I mean,
Got
you know, we can go ahead and do that and say that we're repealing that Sunday morning prohibition, and that's easy enough to do. Again, it doesn't clean up the other parts of it. I mean, if there's urgency, we can come back and clean up the other parts of it. I mean,
I guess what I was kind of thinking was the county's probably already cleaned up.
I expect.
They said it
So
already.
did we not
You
just
know,
model kind of by theirs with a few adjustments?
Well, we can, you know,
I mean, we've kind of done that on some other ordinances before with modeling somebody else's. We might have to tweak a few words somewhere, but it's still basically
Well-
covering, it's covering the same point.
The
yeah.
county already selling at 6 and Sunday?
I think Roger wants you to copy the county one.
Take a
Change-
picture of it.
Change the number, the
That's all,
names.
that's exactly what I was asking.
I mean,
That's
we,
what I was just
I
asking.
mean, we can do that. I mean, we can, and in fact, you know, we can change that ordinance, we can change the language, we can adopt it under section 12.34, -34. We can have a copy for the public to review in 2 days' time, you know, by Thursday of this week, and have it at town hall, have it in the News Gazette next Wednesday, you know, and be ready to go. And then we're gonna have an ordinance exactly like the county's is. I don't know, and I can't tell you here today exactly what the county ordinance is,
And I actually.
other than I know they've lifted that prohibition between 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. Our ordinance prohibits the sale from 12 midnight on Saturday until 12 noon on Sunday.
Because I guess what I'm saying is if we drafted it, if it was advertised, then you could actually vote on it after the public hearing in June.
Absolutely.
We've done some other ones that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and I mean, I think your intent is, I mean, some of this, you know, the 3.2 language, that kind of stuff, you know, that's just no longer applicable.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, when you change a couple wordings, but you still have an ordinance section that's out of date. You gotta go through all that and go through the public hearing, why not just change the whole thing and make it hopefully
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you gotta do the same process.
Yeah.
Whether you change 2 words or 10 words.
That's right. We've got to advertise it, and if council directs me to, we'll go ahead and we'll get a notice in the paper, get it advertised and have it ready for the June meeting, and it will be an ordinance reflecting, you know, it'll be like Rockbridge County.
You're gonna have to get air on a motorcycle.
It's up to you guys. Make a motion, or go to ordinance committee, or whatever.
Sound like a beginning of a motion over here to go ahead and mirror the county's ordinance, get it advertised and
Is that
ready to go.
Are you making a motion, Michael?
Yeah, let's make a motion, it adds similar to the county, so we'll be even.
For the attorney to proceed on.
Somebody second. Let's get it done. We can't have our people not selling beer to other people are selling.
Sir?
You second it, Jerry?
No, I'm not.
Jerry ain't second it. I'm not gonna second it.
I don't know what I'm seconding first. I'm not gonna do it.
I think your motion is to direct the attorney to
Let me see what I have.
to change,
I want you to change.
rewrite section 12-34 to mirror
The county.
Rockbridge counties.